across board all the categories, including all the other major sectors in the power sector. So it's to just make it simple, is just to give a 9% adjustment in what you've been paying for. So if you are buying power at let's say 10 cedis, we are more or less looking at adding 0.9 pesos to it. So you are now going to buy power for 10 cedis, 0.9 pesos. That's basically the simplest I can give to the explanation. But the brackets and the bands have their own different category of pricing, and we have what we call a tariff corner that is on our website, and you can categorically go and put in your specific kilowatts consumed per month, looking at your meter reading or your meter bill, and then you'll be able to know how much you'll be paying in the subsequent time you are going to buy power, basically. But it's something that is not too difficult and just straight to the point as with regards to the percentage.
Mm-hmm. And now briefly, Doc, talk to us about the concerns that some families or households would have, particularly with regards to water, about how almost all the time it is inaccessible, but the bills keep increasing and they would have to pay.
So that's the challenge. For power, it's easy. Power is available. It's in your house. Mm-hmm. You can access it. Mm-hmm. Anytime you consume, you are expected to pay more. That's basically, or you pay for it anytime you consume. But for water, it's not accessible. It's not available. Yeah, but they still, it's a big challenge. They still keep bringing what we call a capacity charge, the connection and the basic charges every month to you to pay. In addition to when you have the water available, it's the same for the power sector as well. But we are working hard. The water sector is a big concern. I mean, we can't. A lot of homes still do not have access to full flow of water. Communities in Accra are struggling with access to water and availability, formerly because of the desalination plant having challenges with Ghana Water, and they are working on resolving it. But His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is concerned about making water more available and accessible, and we are going to take a pragmatic step in trying to bring in investors to come in and in the production of water. And I think that's key, because not like the power sector, where we have what we call the independent power producers producing power and selling to Ghanaians for us to pay to consume and pay. The water sector, we have only Ghana Water, very limited private sector participation in the production of water, which are not also regulated. So we are working on all these policies and trying as much as possible to even come out with a regulatory framework for clean drinking water regulation in Ghana, so that we can create a pathway for others to come in, because regulation is one of the key parameters of inviting investors. So we are trying to put all this together and come out with a much more pragmatic, open, transparent, accountable, local water sector or water production sector as well. But it has to also come well down to the investments, you see. So we are working hard to resolve those challenges. Like for example, we are taking water to Damangu. We are building a new water production system in Damangu. That's the Damangu water production plant and system. Other water production areas like the Boise, Bonsa, and Western region is also going to get a revamp of their water production by an expansion of water production in Western region. So it's a comprehensive system, and we are looking at the best ways of building more water production systems. If that is done, connecting the pipelines, that's the transmission lines and distribution lines, becomes less difficult, because if the production is there, which is the most expensive, but the investor would want to see a tariff or a payment mechanism that will allow them to get back their investment, or to get a return that is adequate to pay for the cost of the borrowing, and also a return that can satisfy the risks that they've taken. So these are comprehensive issues that we are taking it upon ourselves to ensure that water production, water availability, water access is also made available to all Ghanaians. Because just like power, water should also be as much as available to Ghanaians, especially at the time they want it.
The concerns by the Trade Union Congress, TUC, Trade Union Congress, they're asking you that you should backtrack. But you too, you say that there's no turning back on the multi-year tariff order. They say they're not happy. Is there anything that can be done now?
No, the TUC and the PURC, I keep on saying we are like Siemens twins. You cannot separate the two of us. We can't do without each other, right? Because we work together. The history of PURC is actually out of the activism and the activities of TUC, as much as the AGI, Ghana Association of Industries. I mean, we are working together. We are a team. We are dialoguing every single day to ensure that we keep the lights on for Ghanaians by providing the most adequate investment for the sector. And we also make it affordable so that it will not affect what we call the purchasing power of Ghanaians. It shouldn't be too expensive that you need to spend huge chunk of your income or your daily income into the purchase of this power. At the same time, that same power needs to be made available to the same consumer, right, and to the same Ghanaian worker. So you see, it's a very complex, dynamic stakeholder engagement and management. And TUC and PURC, we work together seamlessly. I mean, it's just like the mouth and the teeth and the tongue, right? You enjoy together, and you also, once in a while, you bite each other or you fight. This is how it is, but it's a very technically complex relationship. When the tariff was announced, the MITO, TUC has an issue with it because of the level of engagement that they were expecting from us. We had engagements, but they were expecting it to be more comprehensive, more detailed. I mean, we try our best to go back again and drill down the engagement, let them understand the needs, the concerns, as much as they are also telling us their challenges. That was done a couple of times. We've met. So I think on the 30th, we came out with a joint statement, categorical that the tariff is required because it's a major tariff that requires the regulated asset base of the utilities to be reevaluated and investment added in to keep the power and lights on. You realize that there are indirect benefits of power stability. It has an impact of almost 3% GDP growth. Anytime there's power outage consistent in the economy, it declines the economy by 2% to 3%. This has a major impact on jobs, employment of Ghanaians, and even affecting the living standard of the same Ghanaian worker. So that's the trade-off. This particular investment requirement is needed to just keep the lights on so that the 3% GDP decline expected out of power outages, it is taken off completely. So the Ghanaian worker will stay at work. At the same time, that same tariff shouldn't be so expensive beyond what the Ghanaian worker can pay. So these are the dichotomies, the issues. And then we open up the books. We brought TUC. We explained to them, Masa, this is what is available. This is what the utilities require to keep the lights on. In fact, at the same time, your own workers are those working for the utilities. Do we want to create a situation where the investment that are required to keep them even at work is taken out? So we explain all details to them, and they kind of appreciate the angle from which the utilities are coming from and from which the PURC is also coming from, and also their benefits. You see, so, but it's not that easy. The Ghanaian worker is also not like, we are not like a super high middle income country or a high.
That's true.
And so we still have a chunk of us not having a very, what we call living wage or minimum wages that are not too high. So that balance is what we are trying as much as possible to create. But TUC, I mean, we are like Siemens twins, just like AGI. What AGI wants is stability in the tariff. It shouldn't be too high. It shouldn't be too low. Not to cause outages, to stop industries from operating. It should be consistent, something that is predictable.
Right.
But as I said, by the Ghanaian worker, there's a little bit challenge with the incomes, the wages, the tariff. So we are working together. The dialogue continues. It's not supposed to stop. I mean, we've had a couple of dialogues. It's not over yet. I mean, at all times, we are ready to engage them, and we will keep on engaging them until they are satisfied, we are satisfied, and the Mother Ghana is also satisfied.
Great.
For us to move forward.
Dr. Shafiq, please indulge me. Stay on the line for me, and let me invite Kofi Kapito, the Chief Executive Officer of the Consumer Protection Agency. Mr. Kapito, thank you for joining us. Good morning to you, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to Shafiq.
Nice. We're having the conversation about this increase in tariffs.
Okay.
Please, Doc, Capito is on the line.
I wanted to greet Capito.
Please do.
He's also a very important stakeholder that we've been working with. So, Uncle, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
So, Mr. Capito, this is the conversation we're having, and the PRC is making us understand that they have taken into consideration everything that they should be, talking about the needs of the sectors, for instance, and then the reality of the Ghanaian. So this, the percentages they have arrived at is a very level-headed, manageable percentage, bearing in mind all the conditions or the situations we are faced with. How do you receive this information?
I don't receive it as a good news for the new year for consumers of electricity and water, for the simple reason that it's not about the increase. It's about the service delivery that the consumers are getting. Because the reason why PRC always convince the Ghanaian that, they say pay. If you pay, better service will be delivered to you. My brother, we've been paying, but the services has become an issue for most Ghanaians. I live in East Legon. My area, the whole of the holidays, almost every other day, the light goes off. Okay, the question is, they keep telling us pay, but PRC, their second obligation to the consumers is uninterrupted supply of utility. The question is, Ghanaians are complaining about interrupted service delivery, especially water. Water is one of the most challenged things that the Ghanaian is facing. Now we are being told that we need to pay. Ghana Water even has told us that we are going to do water shedding, right? That they plan to
Rationing.
give you water on specific days. Okay, most of the time, it is supposed to be twice a week. You are lucky even to get it once a week. Some areas, they don't get it at all. So how do you convince me that the people say they need the money, and sometimes it's even not the right thing? You are telling me I should pay before you can do your job. I don't think it's right. Do your job. After you've done your job, then you can come and tell Ghanaians that, yes, we've managed to stop electricity going off almost maybe every other week or every other day. Now it stays on for months, a month, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Ghanaians would applaud you, and Ghanaians would accept and say, yes, we are willing to pay. But this thing that POS always tell the Ghanaian consumer that, the utilities, if you don't do this, do their job. It's not a responsibility for them to do their job.
Kofi, unfortunately, we're losing you. Your line is breaking.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Okay. What I'm saying is, the Ghanaian consumer doesn't want to pay any utility for them to go and invest before they come and give us. Businesses do their investment independently, and then they come and charge us. So this is the thing the Consumer Protection Agency has taken. I don't think it's fair. I am on the side of the TUC. This thing, we need to look at it again. Yes, like I'm saying, if the price has to be increased, they should also consider the views of others, like the Consumer Protection Agency, saying that let the PURC make the utilities tell us that if you pay within maybe 3 months, 6 months, the troubles that you are going through will be a thing of the past.
Doc, you've heard from Kofi Kapito. Can we get this assurance that, and I'm sure what he's saying is not about the how much, even if we're paying 100% increase, but if the service delivery is top notch, no concerns, the levels of complaints will be lower. Can we have that? What is not making us be able to enjoy quality service that would influence us to give you how much you need to keep providing us the service we want?
Thank you once again. As I said, good morning to Uncle Kofi. He's been very important and instrumental in the work of the commission. We once a while sit down to Jojo to get to some of these very important and critical decisions of the commission, which is not that easy, tariffs, as I said. But as he indicated, East Legon, a very high-class residential area in Accra, fortunately for me, this Xmas and holidays, I come from Tumu, Mrs. Salaba tribe, so I took a journey towards Tamale. I went to Tamale. I stayed for a day or two to also monitor quality of service in the northern region, and it's interesting and revealing to realize that the power stability there has improved tremendously. I mean, during the festive seasons, once or twice of it going out, and but has been fairly and relatively far better than last year, last 2 years, last 3 years during the same period. And fortunately for me, I decided to go through Damangu, which is also within the Savannah region, and stayed for a day. And I also saw the same high level of improvement and consistency in the supply and high quality of service improvement. At the same time, I went to Wa. I stayed for a day, and I also realized that the quality of service has been tremendous compared to the subsequent years and the data I've seen. And you know where I ended in Tumu. I stayed for 2-3 days where I come from or where I stay. And at the same time, the quality of service compared to last year, compared to the same time within last 2 years, improved tremendously to the extent that, I mean, that's. And I think over the past 1 year, what we have seen in the power sector has been fantastic. And when I was leaving, I decided to pass through Bolga in the Upper East region. And at the same time, I saw that there's improved quality of service. The power has been stable. I mean, every Ghanaian consumer across the length and breadth of this country at least have seen that there's been an improvement in the quality of service in power, even though it's not the perfect, it's not the best that you can say, oh, in the UK, a child growing up from age 1 to age 30 might not experience even a lights out before. But in Ghana, this is not the case. It has improved. Stability has come. The quality of service has improved compared to the previous or the past. I mean, so what it means is that anytime a product or a commodity is made available to you at all times, it also means that investment needs to put in place to keep it coming and also to keep the flow coming. The main challenge is with water, and I'm sure the water supply is mostly within the urban enclave, and that's within Ghana water operational areas. If you don't mind, the statistics are also very clear. If you go to Upper East, they underutilize the water systems they have. It means at all times, if you are connected to Ghana Water, you'll be getting constant flow of water in Upper East. In Upper West, if you are connected to Ghana Water, you are going to be getting consistent and constant flow of water throughout the week. See, so as you move towards the south, the water production side and their utilization are overstressed. So that's why I keep saying we need to improve. Like in UAE, if you go to Saudi Arabia, they have the desalination system that they are able to convert the seawater into clean drinkable water for the consumer. But it requires massive investment.
Right.
If you also remember, the Dudua water project has been online, and it comes through Adenta to Medina and through to East Legon. I mean, at the beginning, it was able to supply water 24/7 for consistently. But then the urban community keeps putting pressure on it, and now they had to ration it once or twice a day. But mind you, I'm also worried. If you go to other countries, if you open your tap at any time, you get water. That's where I want us to all get to. But that will require investment.
Right.
That will require us all to sacrifice in the initial investment. And you know, every business at the initial stages is a little bit expensive.
Okay.
Let me don't forget to add that PRC is also committed into ensuring what we call high level of or monitoring quality of service to the Ghanaian consumer. And going forward, we have actually kept in more pragmatic mechanisms to ensure that we are able to monitor Ghanaian the utilities and ensure they are able to keep the lights on and keep the water flowing for the Ghanaian consumer.
Okay.
So, for these concerns, I know they will not end today because they are always also a dynamic process, and we consistently want to engage him and all other consumers across the length and breadth of Ghana to ensure that we meet their desire and also meet the development requirement of Ghana.
Right. So, gentlemen, my last question to the both of you, so we can leave you to enjoy their day, is first of all, Kofi, your major concern is that customers and consumers should not be made to pay for problems that they did not create.
Definitely.
Talking about passing galamsey-related costs to consumers, that is one of them. And then failure to address inefficiencies within the utility providers, plus the absence of a clear strategy to recover debts owed by the state institutions. These mainly are your concerns, are they not?
Definitely. But let me tell my nephew, Shafiq, there's a song that says you did your best. Your best isn't good enough. Okay. Look, this thing that we do in Ghana that, we've improved based on the previous years. Even if you have a child, if the child is a new baby, in 12 months' time, the child will become 1 year. In 24 months, he will be 2 years. In 36 months, he will start working. So let's not do this to ourselves. Let's face the issue. The question is, why is PRC allowing? And this is not the first time. I'm not blaming this current administration. I've been involved with PRC since 2006. Right? The issue is they come with the same justification for the utilities for them to come and charge us more. And the question I'm saying is, we the consumers, who are the end users, we are always shortchanged. In a sense that if you are telling me that you have a challenge, so you would do rationing of water, and I should get water twice a week, I don't want any excuse, because you should do your research first to know what it takes to get water. You should do your research first and know what it would take for me not to go through darkness when I don't have to. So let's do all those things. Like I said, the increase probably we need to pay, but justification as to why we should pay is where I have a challenge. And the question my nephew Shafiq is saying is, if you are doing a dialogue, don't just cut the dialogue off, because CEC is part of it. They are not happy. CPA, I don't know how many times we were even called to our city for us to come and share our views. The question is, let's judge, let's please everybody. Maybe, yes, we need to pay more, but for us to pay for somebody to do an investment in their business, are we shareholders? Is the consumers shareholders of the utilities? That we should invest before they can give us job. Water or electricity. If that's the case, then they should make a shareholder, because we spend our money in advance for them to improve. It will not in any other jurisdiction that you come to the people who are coming to buy your product that give me money, like a businessman saying that give me money, let me go to China and go and buy something. When I'll come and sell it to you at the price that I want. You've taken my money to China, you send about the goods, you come back, you are telling me I should allow you to charge me what you want to charge me. Why?
Kofi, thank you.
I'm not that they are not doing a good job. They are doing a good job, but they should not end the dialogue. The dialogue is very, very, very important. Let's hear everybody's views, and let's see how we can satisfy the stakeholders for them to be comfortable. If we are comfortable, there will not be brouhaha.
Kofi, thank you. Thank you so much. Kofi Kapito is the Chief Executive Officer of the Consumer Protection Agency, speaking with us there. We still have on the line the Executive Secretary of the PURC, Dr. Shafiq Suleiman. Doc, let me give you the final word on this. The core concern is that the cost is being passed on to consumers unfairly. There are a lot of inefficiencies within the work of the utility providers that they have not addressed, and they're letting us pay for their levels of inefficiencies. And then there is no strategy to recover debts owed by state institutions. So because these debts are not paid, they need money to work. They would come to the consumer that, okay, pay so that we can use your money to cover for the debts that a lot of these state institutions owe us. How do we circumvent this, Doc, briefly?
Okay, so thank you. And, my uncle, Kofi, is smart and very intelligent advocate for the consumer. So anytime I have the opportunity to listen to him, then I'm so happy. And I'm glad that I have to always start from his wide range of experience and knowledge within the sector. But, in economics 101, you realize that we have what we call utilities. Utilities are a little bit unique from any other sector, and we have different market structures that we use to regulate commodities. We have the competitive market, we have the monopoly, you've heard of oligopoly. Those are, so for the utilities, it's a little bit dynamic in economics if you want to structure them, because, it's not like relating it to other competitive markets, goods. So if you are talking about going to China, bringing a product to come and sell in a competitive market, like you are importing furniture, competitive market, you have the choice. You can always look for a competitor to buy the same product from, and you can always bargain with the price. You have, but for utilities, the initial cost of investment is so huge that individual private sectors or participants cannot do it. So the state takes the full responsibility to come in. And then the utilities, actually, they have a price that they can charge, just like they invest in the competitive market. That will allow them to be able to provide the required and needed service to all consumers. But unfortunately, if they want to charge the consumer that price, it will be so exorbitant that the same consumer, we are all Ghanaians, that require the water and electricity to be so exorbitant, expensive, that it will cut out some very important sectors of the economy or community. So it then requires a balance, because just like furniture or any other commodity that a competitor or a business person can charge any price to go and get, you cannot allow the utilities to charge any price to provide the services of utilities like water and electricity. That's where the state has to come in to intervene. That's where the state has to come in to do the initial investment. Any person running a business has invested to even go to China to do all those rounds to ensure that the product is there for you. But the state has to come in to provide the initial investment, which is huge. So we call something entry barriers. And it will not be able to allow third parties or other competitive entities to come in. So the state does that. So that's why you see Ghana Water coming in to do the initial investment of water production and ensuring that the pipelines are there.
Yeah.
But Doc, they really want to get a product available to the consumer at a higher price, consistent, the consumer cannot pay.
That's true.
So
we understand that.
Provide a balance.
Okay, but the concern too about the debt recovery ability of these companies of debts owed by state institutions, does it not impact the thinking of or the efficiency levels of these utility companies?
Yes, so that's another very important thing. But my uncle said I shouldn't make reference to the past. But the research agenda of His Excellency George Dramani Mahama has taken significant effect in the utility sectors as well. Within the power sector alone, the state agencies that were not paying for power, it has changed completely. Most of them are now paying. 2, even the finances that are supposed to go to the state agencies that they require to operate and keep functioning. A company like Gridco, a very long time, Gridco has not been given any sufficient or adequate financing to do anything, even to the extent that they couldn't even pay salaries. But now, Gridco has seen tremendous transformation in what they do. For another example, the Electricity Company of Ghana used to hoard any monies that they collect, what we call the cash waterfall mechanism. They were not disclosing the full details of the cash water mechanism. The amount they collect is not the same amount they allocate. The IPPs were ridden with debt to the extent that some of the IPPs during Christmas, I remember one of them, last year's Christmas, decided to switch off their lights just to punish the state or Ghanaians for the non-payment of their debt.
Right.
But this time, all the IPPs, we are consistent with payment of cash to them. And let me remind you, QRC is actually the chairperson or the managers of the cash waterfall mechanism with all the other state agencies. So there have been tremendous transformational, I will add transformational to the resetting agenda of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. It's not only resetting, it's also transformational. It is something that we are all waking up to see for the first time. And people are now beginning to think around it. And thankfully, this is something that we are hoping it will stay.
Right.
And trust me, going forward within the next 3-4 years, the power sector and the water sectors will be seeing major reset.
Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us. Dr. Shafiq Suleiman, the Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission. Thank you for staying with us. We understand that you may have to go, but we have to bring into the conversation the Trade Union Congress as well. Dr. Ken Trinibua-Kodua is Vice Chair of the Trades Union Congress. Doc, good morning to you. Happy New Year.
Good morning, my brother, and a Happy New Year also, and a good morning and Happy New Year to our cherished listeners and to your panel members.
Great. Let's get right into the conversation. The PURC proposed these tariffs. We're looking at some increment in water prices, for instance, and then increment in electricity tariffs. For water, 15.92%, 9.86% for electricity. The Consumer Protection Agency says they're not very happy about it. They're concerned about inefficiencies in the sector, how the service may not be readily available. The TUC, for instance, when the conversation started, you were also not happy about it. Eventually, you seem to have come around. Now, the year has begun and these increments are in full force. I'm sure the TUC now has understood why the PURC should make such a decision.
Okay. Let me correct this. It is not about TUC not understanding why tariffs should not be adjusted upwards or downwards.
Right.
We have raised the issue that the need for PURC to understand that its decision or actions also affect other institutions, and that the need for collaboration to ensure that whatever they do doesn't have some replica effect on others. And so we have made it very clear that we understand that, for instance, Ghana water must go up, but at whose expense? We know operational cost is going up. We are saying that why should you put all the operational costs as a result of, for instance, Galamsey murdering the waters, and they need more money to operate or treat the waters? Why do you put all that burden on the consumer? Who is responsible to ensure that this cost doesn't keep coming on the consumer? And for how long will the consumer be holding this cost? So government itself must look at that equation and see how much of that can it bear. So that doesn't put all the cost on the consumer. And so there's a need for a constant engagement to ensure that PURC's tariffs are very interrogated, and the decisions are very consultative. And so that is one of our arguments. Another argument is that if we knew, remember that the utility is about ability to pay. And so whatever income we are getting, it should be enough such that whilst paying utility, taking care of our health, our kids, our domestic issues, we can survive. And so every year we ask government for what we call losses on our wage for years. If you see what government gives to workers in terms of salary increment, it is just to restore the losses, inflationary losses. So every year from time in memory, let me come from 2019. Whatever that we get a way of salary increment, it is not an increment on the wage itself. It is coming to absorb the losses as a result of inflation. And we have that is very clear. So PURC's action this time around was avoidable because we thought that we were engaging, and if we knew their position, that we're coming up with almost 16% in water and almost 6% in ECG, our engagement with the government would have been much different, such that the worker will get an increment that will not erode into his already working income. And so that is what we lost at TUC, and we're very unhappy. But going forward, TUC and PURC we've agreed that should not happen again. But we also, in our engagement, we also agreed that we'll go back to government and let government understand what the impact of this is on the increment it gave us, and the need to put something again for us possibly to restore that loss. So that is what the discussion is about. But we don't doubt that
there's the need to do this.
Yes.
Okay, great. So based on the realities now and the levels of increments that have come, how are your members responding to this? Are they, well, now they have accepted, they understand, they agree. How are they responding to this increase?
Yeah, so I thought about our decisions with PURC at our last meeting. We said we would engage government on the current wage level and see what meaningful agreement we can have with the government in order to cushion the worker on this tariff increment. So that process with government is not conclusive.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kentwin Abuakodu. You are the Vice Chair of the Trades Union Congress. Grateful for your time with us on the program now. We're also grateful to Dr. Shafiq Suleiman, the Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission, PURC, speaking with us there. Also, we had Kofi Kapito, the Chief Executive Officer of the Consumer Protection Agency there.